All right, well, President Obama in his address to Congress last night called on America to invest in clean and renewable energy to help America lead the world in the 21st century. In his speech, the president unveiled how he plans to double the amount of renewable energy available in the U.S. over the next 3 years.
To support that innovation, we will invest $15 billion a year to develop technologies like wind power and solar power, advanced biofuels, clean coal, and more efficient cars and trucks built right here in America.
For more on the president's energy agenda and the impact it will have on the country, I'm joined by Myron Ebell. He's Director of Energy Policy at Competitive Energy Enterprise Institute. And in studio here is Lou Milford, President of Clean Energy States Alliance. Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for joining me both. All right, Myron, let me start with you. We heard the president talk about investing $15 billion in renewable energy. When you look at the program and the plans, is that a reasonable dollar amount? Is it possible?
It's far too much money to waste on uncompetitive technologies. This plan conflicts with the president's goal of long-term economic activity because it simply puts money into higher-priced energy, which will, over the long term, make us all poorer.
Okay, I'm going to take issue with that because that's my job. I'm a little confused as to why that would do some of the things you're talking about. I mean, wouldn't it be wise to look at energy as a place where we could be a leader in this country? And we're very dependent on foreign oil right now. There are multiple sources of energy that seem to be very effective at other countries. Why is that a waste of taxpayer funds?
We are a leader in energy technology. We have access to the most affordable energy in the world, and President Obama's plan would put us on a course to adopt higher-priced energy that would make us less competitive, take money out of people's pockets, and cost jobs. This money doesn't come out of the air. It comes out of people's pockets, and you're putting it into higher-priced forms of energy. We need to be using the lower-priced forms of energy. That's what helps make us competitive.
Okay, Myron, I'm going to allow Lou to say what is on my mind. Lou, look, this is the argument we've been hearing for decades about investing in renewable energy. And the problem is, look at what happened to us last year. If we don't start to invest, the costs will never get cheaper. Of course, they'll be expensive, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a lot of jobs being created out of this.
I think there's no question. I mean, the future of energy is clean energy. There will be trillions of dollars spent in the next decades on newer forms of energy, whether solar, wind, new forms of burning coal in clean ways. This is where the future is, and it's the future in the developed countries, it's the future in the developing countries. And I think what the president said last night is that if America is going to regain its economic prosperity, it needs to regain its competitive advantage in taking the lead in investing in those technologies. That's the future.
Yeah, I mean, and Lou, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not as though the President of the United States is saying, we're not going to use the natural resources that we have in this country, like natural gas. That's when he talked about it, when he talked about heavy-duty vehicles. It's not as though we're not going to continue to use the sources of oil that we get from our neighbors in Canada when he's talking about it with NAFTA. It's just that we need to have other alternative sources and stop being dependent on the ones that got us into this mess.
He's talking about creating a full suite of energy technologies that are going to serve all of our interests, but importantly, that will be a way for America to regain a competitive advantage. I mean, this is really all about jobs and competitive economies going forward. We're talking about potentially millions of jobs that are at risk if we don't take over the future. I mean, in a way, look back to our auto industry. In many ways, what happened with our auto industry is that it did not gain the competitive advantage that the Japanese took over. It didn't adapt.
Yep.
And we're potentially losing that industry. We've got to look forward to regain what we have and build it.
All right, Myron, I need you to explain to me how it is that you think that this is dollars wasted and a loss of jobs.
If these were competitive technologies and these were real jobs, then private industry would be investing in them. The federal government has been throwing money at renewable technologies since the 1970s. These technologies still produce energy that is far more expensive than conventional energy, and if our industries are using higher priced energy, that means they are less competitive. If our consumers are having to pay more on their electric bills, their gasoline bills, because of federal mandates and throwing money at these uncompetitive technologies. That means they will have less money in their pockets to spend on other things. So there is no doubt that this is an economic
Myron, let me
loser
ask you a
over the
question.
long term.
Let me ask you a
Yes.
question. Number one, I've never understood it to be a federal mandate. I have a choice. I have a choice of what electric utility company I choose. I have a choice of who I want to put gas in my home. I mean, I don't know, call me crazy, but at least that's my experience. So I don't know how it's federally mandated. And number two, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't there a lot of tax incentives, massive tax breaks for people who are investing in alternative energy and who are doing some of these things?
Yes, there are massive tax breaks to special interests to provide higher priced energy. Yes, you do have choices, but your choices are being limited all the time by further government action. You no longer have a choice about whether you will buy higher priced ethanol or lower priced gasoline. There is a federal mandate on how much ethanol has to be used in the gasoline supply. You no longer have a choice in many states about whether you're going to use lower priced coal-fired electricity or higher priced and more unreliable wind energy, because those many states like California, which has an economy, by the way, that is tanking largely as a result of these benighted policies, you have no choice about how much renewable energy will be in your electricity bill, which of course is why electricity rates in California are among the highest in the nation.
All right, so
and we could go through all of these
Okay.
things, but your choices are being limited all the time by government action.
All right, well, so you raised some good points. This is a conversation to be continued. Lou and Myron, thank you, gentlemen, very much. I appreciate it. All right, let's go.